You've been misreading signals your entire life. Many older men foolishly interpret a young woman's smile as romantic interest. It's not. This delusion leads to awkward interactions and damaged reputations. The truth about why younger women smile at you is far more complex and frankly less flattering than you imagine. Older men don't realize this is why younger women smile at them reveals what's really happening. It's time to face reality. The responsibility to understand these social dynamics falls squarely on your shoulders. Listen carefully now. That momentary connection, that smile from a younger woman, it's triggering something primal in you. You're interpreting it through the lens of your own desires and insecurities. I've seen it countless times in my clinical practice. Men misreading social signals based on their own psychological projections. It's not what you think. The first thing you need to understand is that younger women often smile at older men out of respect for wisdom and experience. I remember walking through the University of Toronto campus, carrying the weight of decades of accumulated knowledge, and noticing how students would acknowledge me with a smile. It wasn't attraction, it was recognition of something they aspired to attain. These smiles represent something profound. The archetypal recognition of the wise elder, the Senex figure that Carl Jung described in his work on collective unconscious. Young people are instinctively drawn to those who embody wisdom and stability. It's not a sexual gesture. It's a psychological acknowledgement of your position in the social hierarchy. They're responding to the archetypal energy you project as someone who has weathered life's storms. Now, when you encounter professional courtesy in your interactions, understand that this is particularly true in workplace settings. Young women in professional environments often smile as a form of appropriate workplace etiquette. They've been socialized to be pleasant and accommodating, especially to those in positions of authority or seniority. This isn't personal attraction, it's socially conditioned behavior that maintains hierarchical harmony. The tragedy is that many men interpret these professional smiles as interest, leading to uncomfortable situations for everyone involved. The responsibility lies with you to recognize the context of these interactions. When you misinterpret professional courtesy as romantic interest, you're not just embarrassing yourself, you're creating unnecessary tension in what should be straightforward human exchanges. Beyond respect and courtesy, there's something even more profound happening: empathetic recognition. Young women often smile at older men out of genuine human empathy. They see the years etched on your face, perhaps noticing a resemblance to their own fathers or grandfathers. They're acknowledging your humanity, your journey through life, not expressing romantic interest. This empathetic connection speaks to our fundamental need for cross-generational understanding. Throughout human history, societies have functioned through the respectful interactions between youth and experience. When a young woman smiles at you, she may be unconsciously participating in this ancient social contract, acknowledging the contribution of elder members while affirming her own place in the social continuum. You must take responsibility for correctly interpreting these signals. The burden falls on you to develop the emotional intelligence to distinguish between polite social acknowledgement and genuine romantic interest. This isn't about denying your worth or attractiveness. It's about seeing interactions clearly without the distortion of ego or unfulfilled desires. The psychological truth is that we often see what we want to see. The human mind is a pattern recognition machine, constantly searching for confirmation of its existing beliefs. If you've convinced yourself that younger women find you attractive, you'll interpret every smile, every glance, every polite interaction as evidence supporting this belief. This is confirmation bias in its most common form, and it's a trap many older men fall into. So what do these smiles truly indicate? They represent respect for your journey, acknowledgement of your place in society, and the basic human courtesy that binds communities together. They are meaningful, just not in the way you might initially interpret them. What you possess at your age, if you've lived properly, is a quiet confidence that doesn't require validation. This confidence without aggression is something younger women genuinely respond to. It's not the brash posturing of youth, desperate to prove itself. It's the settled certainty of a man who knows his place in the world and doesn't need to dominate every interaction. This quality is increasingly rare in our society, and when young women encounter it, they respond with genuine appreciation. I've watched this dynamic unfold countless times. A man in his 60s or 70s enters a room without the desperate energy of someone trying to be noticed. He carries himself with dignity. His voice is measured, his movements deliberate. Young women smile at him not because they're attracted to him romantically, but because they're responding to this authentic masculine presence. It's a form of social acknowledgement that transcends the superficial dynamics of sexual attraction. You've also developed, if you've paid attention to your life, the ability to tell stories that matter. Your storytelling ability is a genuine social currency that younger people recognize and value. When you can weave the threads of your experience into narratives that offer genuine insight, you provide something invaluable to younger generations. Their smiles acknowledge this gift, your capacity to make sense of a chaotic world through ordered, meaningful narratives. The stories you tell aren't just entertainment, they're maps of meaning that help younger people navigate their own journeys. This is what Jordan, your archetypal namesake, did when he guided the Israelites across the river. He provided direction, drawing on his experience to help others find their way. When you share your stories with younger people, you're fulfilling this ancient archetypal role. Their smiles recognize this profound contribution, not some imagined romantic potential. Perhaps most importantly, you've developed genuine listening skills, something increasingly absent in our distracted, self-absorbed culture. When you truly listen to a younger person, when you give them your full attention without waiting for your turn to speak, you offer them something precious. Their smile acknowledges this gift, this rare experience of being fully seen and heard by someone with the patience and wisdom to listen deeply. I've observed this in university settings for decades. The students who sought me out weren't looking for romantic connection. They were looking for someone who would listen to them with the seriousness their emerging ideas deserved. When you offer this quality of attention to younger people, you're helping them articulate their own thoughts, their own being. This is a profound service that has nothing to do with romantic or sexual dynamics. Your established life stability is another quality that genuinely earns positive recognition from younger generations. In a world increasingly characterized by chaos and uncertainty, you represent something increasingly rare, a life built on enduring principles rather than shifting trends. Young women aren't smiling at you because they're attracted to you. They're acknowledging the achievement that your stability represents. This stability manifests in multiple domains: financial, emotional, philosophical. You've weathered economic downturns, personal tragedies, and cultural upheavals. You've maintained your course through storms that have capsized many younger lives. This resilience is worthy of genuine respect, and the smiles you receive often acknowledge this achievement. It's not about romantic interest, it's about recognition of a life well lived. The capacity to differentiate between these forms of acknowledgement requires honesty with yourself. It demands that you set aside the flattering interpretations your ego might prefer and see these interactions for what they truly are. This isn't about diminishing your worth. It's about understanding your actual value, which is far more meaningful than being the object of romantic interest. The truth is that your value at this stage of life isn't about your appeal as a romantic partner to younger women. It's about the wisdom, stability, and perspective you've earned through decades of experience. When you misinterpret smiles as romantic interest, you're not just making a social error, you're failing to recognize your own true worth. Your response to these interactions reveals your true character. When a younger woman smiles at you, the dignified man responds with respectful acknowledgement, nothing more. A simple nod, a brief smile in return, perhaps a polite good morning. You're not seeking to extend the interaction, to transform it into something it isn't. You're acknowledging the human connection without distorting its meaning. This restraint isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the discipline to see reality clearly without the corruption of wishful thinking. I've watched countless men destroy potential meaningful connections by misinterpreting initial interactions. The moment you respond to a simple smile with unwarranted familiarity or obvious misinterpretation, you've eliminated any possibility of authentic connection. That young woman who smiled at you out of respect will immediately withdraw, her intuition warning her that you've misunderstood the nature of the exchange. Your responsibility is to preserve the dignity of the interaction by responding appropriately. The truly valuable response is to recognize genuine mentoring opportunities when they arise naturally. If a younger person, man or woman, seeks your guidance or perspective, that's a profound honor worthy of your full attention. These moments don't begin with romantic misinterpretation. They emerge from authentic respect. When you respond by offering genuine insight rather than seeking personal validation, you fulfill one of the most meaningful roles available to you at this stage of life. True mentorship isn't about imposing your views or dominating the conversation. It's about listening carefully, asking thoughtful questions, and sharing perspectives without attachment to being right. When a younger woman seeks your professional advice or life perspective, she's offering you the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to the next generation. This is infinitely more valuable than the momentary ego gratification of misinterpreting her smile as romantic interest. Central to appropriate response is dignified self-awareness. This means understanding your actual place in the social hierarchy, not the place your vanity might prefer. It means recognizing that your value to younger generations has nothing to do with romantic potential and everything to do with the wisdom you've accumulated. The smile you receive acknowledges this potential contribution, not some imagined attraction. When you respond with dignified self-awareness, you transform a simple social exchange into an opportunity for genuine connection. Self-awareness requires brutal honesty about your motivations. Ask yourself, am I extending this conversation because it serves a meaningful purpose or because it flatters my ego? Am I interpreting this smile in a way that enhances my self-image rather than reflecting reality? The dignified man ruthlessly examines his own intentions before proceeding. This isn't self-flagellation, it's the prerequisite for authentic human connection. What you're truly being offered is the possibility of cross-generational connection, one of life's most meaningful experiences. When you respond appropriately to a younger person's acknowledgement, you create space for genuine exchange across the age divide. This connection isn't romantic or sexual, it's something far more profound. It's the bridge between past and future, the transmission of wisdom that has sustained human civilization since its beginnings. Throughout human history, societies have depended on the meaningful exchange between generations. The elders provided wisdom and perspective. The youth provided energy and innovation. This exchange wasn't corrupted by romantic misinterpretation. It was sacred in its purposefulness. When a younger woman smiles at you, she's unconsciously participating in this ancient pattern of acknowledgement. Your responsibility is to honor that pattern by responding with appropriate dignity. The mature man understands that his legacy isn't built on conquests or misinterpreted flirtations. It's built on meaningful contributions to the generations that follow. When you respond to a young woman's smile with appropriate respect rather than misplaced romantic interest, you position yourself to build a legacy that matters. You become the kind of elder that younger generations genuinely seek out for guidance, not the kind they politely avoid because of misinterpreted signals. This appropriate response pattern requires constant vigilance. Our culture bombards men with messages that their value depends on their sexual desirability well into old age. Rejecting these messages demands conscious effort and ruthless self-honesty. Embracing your age with dignity is the foundation for all meaningful interaction with younger generations. This doesn't mean resignation or retreat. It means full acceptance of where you stand in life's journey. When you genuinely embrace your age rather than attempting to deny it, you radiate an authenticity that younger people instinctively respect. Their smiles acknowledge this rare quality, the courage to be exactly who you are without pretense or apology. I've witnessed this transformation countless times in my clinical practice. Men who spent decades fighting against their aging suddenly discover a profound freedom and acceptance. The lines on their face are no longer enemies to be battled, but evidence of a life fully lived. When you make this transition from resistance to acceptance, your interactions with younger people transform. You're no longer seeking validation of your youth. You're offering the wisdom of your experience. What will truly earn you genuine respect is maintaining a continuous learning mindset well into your later years. The moment you decide you know everything is the moment you become irrelevant to younger generations. Their smiles often acknowledge your curiosity, your willingness to engage with new ideas despite your decades of experience. This humility in the face of continuous learning is profoundly attractive, not in a romantic sense, but in the sense of earning authentic human connection. The continuous learner recognizes that wisdom isn't about accumulating fixed answers, it's about developing better questions. When you approach younger people with genuine curiosity about their perspective rather than imposing your own, you create space for meaningful exchange. This doesn't mean abandoning your principles or perspective. It means holding them with enough confidence to allow them to be challenged and refined through interaction with different viewpoints. What you should be focusing on at this stage of life is your legacy-building focus. Not legacy in the sense of monuments or achievements, but in the sense of meaningful contribution to the lives of others. When your interactions with younger generations are guided by this principle, how can I contribute something worthwhile here? You transcend the petty misinterpretations that plague so many older men. Their smiles acknowledge this rare quality of purposeful interaction. Legacy isn't about you, it's about what you leave behind in the lives you touch. When a younger woman smiles at you and you respond with genuine interest in her development rather than your own ego gratification, you're building legacy in the most meaningful sense. You're contributing to the growth of another human being without expectation of personal reward. This is the highest form of interaction available to you at this stage of life. Developing a wisdom-sharing framework means understanding how to offer perspective without imposing it. It means recognizing when your experience is relevant and when it isn't. The truly wise elder doesn't force his viewpoint. He offers it when it's genuinely applicable, when it addresses the actual challenges facing the younger person. When younger women smile at you, they're often acknowledging this rare quality, the ability to share wisdom without domination. This framework requires careful development. You must learn to translate your experience into terms that resonate with contemporary challenges. You must distinguish between the principles that transcend time and the specifics that are tied to your era. This isn't about clinging to the way things were. It's about extracting the timeless wisdom from your experience and offering it in a form that's relevant to today's realities. Perhaps most importantly, you must maintain balanced perspective maintenance in all your interactions. This means seeing clearly without the distortion of ego, desire, or outdated assumptions. When a younger woman smiles at you, balanced perspective allows you to receive that smile for exactly what it is, a moment of human acknowledgement, without embellishing it with romantic meaning that isn't there. This clarity of vision is the foundation for all meaningful intergenerational connection. The balanced perspective recognizes that your value at this stage of life isn't about romantic desirability. It's about the wisdom, stability, and perspective you've earned through decades of experience. When you maintain this clear-eyed view of yourself and your interactions, you open the door to genuinely meaningful connections across the generational divide. That smile you receive isn't the beginning of a romantic possibility. It's an invitation to be exactly who you are, an elder with valuable perspective to offer. And there is nothing more dignified, more meaningful than accepting that invitation on its own terms. The proper interpretation of social signals isn't merely about avoiding embarrassment. It's about embracing the profound responsibility of your position as an elder. Every misinterpreted smile represents a squandered opportunity for meaningful connection across generations. Remember that chaos lies in projection, while order emerges from seeing reality clearly. The choice between living in fantasy or truth determines whether your final decades will be characterized by dignity or delusion. Ask yourself this: will you be the wise elder they genuinely seek, or the cautionary tale they politely avoid? The answer lies not in their smiles, but in your response to them.